Welcome to Lesson 6 of the Your Watercolor Summer Weekly Challenge. If you don't know me already, hi, I'm Christy from octopusconnection.com, and I've been a creative teacher online since 2016. I offer courses, a watercolor membership, and I have over 20 classes on Skillshare.com. I'm so happy that you joined this low-pressure challenge designed to keep you gently painting all summer long to keep your skills sharp without the overwhelm. Last week, I shared about one of my favorite subject matters, flowers. As the most unlikely flower painter ever, if you missed that lesson, you can click at the top right of the screen now to hear that story. This week, I'm sharing about painting landscapes. I love to teach how to paint them in my watercolor membership, Mastering the Waters, because landscapes sort of have it all subject matter-wise. They have a focal point, consist of color and shading, show distance and proximity, shadow and light. They're great for practicing detail painting, and they allow you to practice painting color in larger areas. So there are so many lessons to learn just from completing one landscape. It really boosts your skills and builds your confidence really quickly. Now, I'll admit that landscapes look too complicated for beginners to take on, but I've learned the opposite is true. Telling new students that I have confidence in them to take on such a difficult subject matter, then lead them through the project successfully is the best feeling. It gives them a confidence boost, and the same could happen for you. In this case, one of my membership students, Adele, was about to move from her home in the Andes Mountains and wanted to paint her backyard as a tribute to her time in Peru. The view featured an ancient site, as well as some beautiful flowers, shrubs, trees, and a gazebo. So there was a lot going on, and she had never really painted with watercolors before except to do my basic foundational color theory lessons. But as I walked her through the process of painting this landscape, her skills evolved before her eyes. She couldn't believe what she had created, and she was so proud of her painting, as she should be. That was only her second month in the membership, and now Adele is not intimidated by difficult subject matters. She is ready to tackle all kinds of things, like painting exotic birds from her time in Brazil, for example, and I can't wait to see the result. If you always wanted to paint landscapes, but you're confused about how to do one, here are some basic guidelines. First, do a quick sketch starting with the horizon line. I think a lot of people get hung up on the sketch because they think that they're supposed to do a detailed drawing. A drawing is actually a more detailed depiction of a subject matter, but a sketch is just the act of making some pencil marks for placement, so it doesn't have to be fancy or detailed. The horizon line separates land or sea from the sky, and generally is off in the distance. From there, I add bigger details like trees, lakes, mountains, and clouds. In this landscape, the next priority was this vintage fence lining a sandy wood plank path leading to the beach. Each post was a different height and width according to what distance it was in the scene, so it was important to get that placement as close as possible. The thing that I'm never going for is perfection with a painting. In fact, over the years, I've learned the more imperfect, the more charming and beautiful it turns out. This philosophy has really helped me to let go and just go with the flow on most of my projects. So I want to encourage you to give yourself permission to do that too, even with a landscape. After the sketch is done, I start painting, beginning with the larger background areas like the sky, the sea, the land. Then, as the backgrounds dry, I paint the first layers of the more close-range items in the composition. Keep in mind that sometimes you'll have to pivot regarding when you add these elements to your painting. Like in this project, when I had to wait for the sky and the land to dry before I painted the sea in the middle. The main thing is to make sure that your paint is dry before you paint another layer right next to it. That's why I did the top and the bottom first, so they could dry together and save me some time. Once they're all dry, I go in with a second, third, and fourth layer to add shadow, light, and detail. Depending on the item, I create different textures with different kinds of strokes. I use small, quick dabbing strokes for the leaves and the trees, and more thin, lengthy ones for the ocean and for the wood grain. Then I use smoother strokes for areas like the sand. Knowing what kinds of strokes to use to give your paintings the right textures will give your objects the right looks, creating special effects that make your paintings look that much more realistic with very little effort. With a little patience and using a step-by-step that breaks down the process, you can see how easily a beautiful and seemingly complicated composition can come together. My challenge to you this week is to take on a landscape. Start with a quick sketch, identifying the horizon line right away and adding details in relationship to it. Then add your more close range items. Paint the larger background areas. Then once they're dry, paint the closer range areas. From there, start adding detail and texture, plus shadow and light. If it still sounds a bit complicated, just dive in because that's the fastest way you're going to learn anything. Remember your childish enthusiasm and that kids don't worry about doing it wrong. They just do it. When you give it a try, don't forget to tag me at Octopus Connection, and don't forget to use hashtag #MyWatercolorSummer so I can find and share your work. We're having some fantastic conversations about this very thing in the challenge community, and I would love to have you join us inside. Just go to the description below this video and click the link to join the challenge and follow the challenge checklist on the hub page so you don't miss a thing. Plus, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos in the series. If you missed last week's video, you can tap on the screen right now to watch it. And if you want to start from lesson 1, you can find that on the screen now too. Then I'll see you back here next week for lesson number 7 of the Your Watercolor Summer Low Pressure Weekly Challenge. See you soon.